Hello guys, hope you're okay. It's Mr. O'Brien here. So from this week, we're going to start doing maths teaching in the videos rather than recapping what we've already done. So we're going to start, let me just get rid of this message. We're just going to start by, we're going to start on fractions now, okay? So I'll teach the first section of fractions, and then you need to go to your to-do, and you'll see each day of maths to-dos in your to-do list. Okay, so if you go to Purple Mash, click onto your to-dos, and today's maths will be there. Tomorrow's maths will be there, and Wednesday's maths will be there as well. Okay, this video is obviously in the blog and on the YouTube channel, so you can just watch this on your computer, on your laptop, on your tablet, even on a phone. You can watch it on there, and then on the quiz, on the to-do, you can just do the work on there and submit it on there. Okay, so you don't need to email it in anymore. You can do it on the to-dos. Okay, so we're going to start fractions. So I'm going to turn my screen around in a moment so you can see my screen. Now bear with me because I'm doing it on a laptop. Tomorrow I'm going to be in school recording it, so I can do it on the screen, on the whiteboard at the front. But I'm doing it on my laptop today, so it might take a little bit longer. It's just a little bit fiddly, but we'll get there. Okay, so hopefully in a second you'll be able to see my screen. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I think you can see my screen now. Okay, so this is what we're doing today. We are learning to label and order tenths. Okay, so we're going to be looking at tenths, and this is our first lesson on fractions. But just for the start, okay, I've got two questions here. I'm going to do the first one, this one here, and then I'm going to pause the video and you can have a go at the second one and we'll see if you get it right. Okay, so we know we're adding because we've got the add symbol here. Okay, we're adding, we're finding the total, we're finding how much these numbers are all together. Okay, so we start with the ones when we do column addition. So 7 add 5 equals 12 ones. Now I can't write 12 ones in here, can I? Because I can only have 10 ones before it becomes a 10. Okay, so my 2 ones go here, and I exchange my 10 ones for 110. Okay, for 110, which I've renamed down here. Okay, that's a very strange 110. Oh, I've done it again. That's 110. Okay, so then we add our tens. 4 tens add 6 tens, are 10 tens. We add our other 10, our extra 10, which is 11 tens. Okay, same again. Okay, well, that's a nice one. So I've got 11. Okay, we know 10 tens are 100, so I have 110 here, and 10 tens are renamed to be 100 here. 500s add 200s, 700s, add the other 100, 812. Okay, so you can pause the video now and just have a go at the second question up here. Okay, off you go. Right, so let's see if you got this right. Okay, so 9 add 2 is 11. So 10 ones become 110. They're exchanged for 110 and renamed. 8 add 9 is 17 tens. Add the extra 10 is 18 tens. Okay, so I have 8 tens there. My 10 tens are exchanged and renamed for 100. 400s add 400s are 800s. Add the extra 100, 900s. Okay, so if you got 981 for that, well done. Okay, don't worry if you didn't have anywhere to do it, or you know, it's not that important. Okay, it's just a recap to remind ourselves. So now we're going to start on our fractions. Okay, so a fraction is when a whole number is broken down into parts. Okay, and a whole number could be 1. 1 is a whole number. Oh my word, Mr. O'Brien can't write ones. Okay, so 1 is a whole number. That's a 1. 2 is a whole number. 3 is a whole number. 4 is a whole number. Okay, and when we break these down into parts, that's when we get fractions. Okay, so this here is one whole cake. Let's say it's a cake, one cake. Okay, so it's one whole cake. Okay, you could eat the whole cake, or you could break that cake up into parts. Okay, now I've cut this cake or shared this cake into equal parts. Now how many parts are there? Well, there are 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts. So I've broke this cake up into 4 parts. Okay. Now I've eaten one part. Okay, Mr. O'Brien has eaten this one part. Now we know Mr. O'Brien would probably just eat the whole cake, but for this example, I've eaten one part. Okay, so I've eaten one part out of 4 parts. Okay, and when we break it up into 4, we call that quarters. Okay, so this cake has been broken up into 4 parts. Okay, and this is the denominator. This tells us how many parts there are altogether. 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts. Okay, so there's 4 parts there. Okay, and this is the numerator, and this tells us how many parts are shaded. Okay, and obviously there's 1 part shaded there because that's the 1 piece of cake that Mr. O'Brien ate. Okay, so it's 1 out of 4, 1 quarter. Okay, and that's what fractions are. It's when we take a whole number, or a whole cake, or a whole pizza. Okay, we break it into parts, and then we're looking at a certain number of those parts. Okay, so that's what a fraction is. So in the numerator, which is the top part here, that tells you how many parts are shaded. And then at the bottom, you've got the denominator, and that tells us how many parts there are altogether. Okay, so I'm going to move on to another example. Okay, now you can see here that the whole cake has been separated into a different number of parts now. I wonder if you can see how many parts there are there. 1 part, 2 part, 3 parts, 4 parts, 5 parts, 6 parts, 7 parts, 8 parts. Okay, so there's 8 parts there. So my denominator is telling me there are 8 parts. Okay, but here's where it's different. This is 8 pieces of cake, and Mr. O'Brien was feeling a bit fat, so he decided to eat 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts of the cake. Okay, so on the top here, my numerator, I've not eaten 1 part today. I've eaten 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts of the cake. So it's 3 parts out of 8, and you can pretend it's like a spelling test as well. Okay, there's 8 parts, so there's 8 spellings to get right, and you got 3 right, so you've got 3 right out of 8. 3 parts out of 8 parts. Okay, and remember, your numerator tells you how many parts you've shaded, or how many you've eaten, or how many you got right, and the denominator tells you how many parts there are altogether, or how many or what you've divided your shape into. Okay, so there's 8 parts. You've eaten 3. You've eaten 3 out of 8. Okay, and if we look at this example, how many parts has it been split into there? Well, it's been split into 1, 2, 3 parts. Okay, and let's say this was 3 pieces of cake. Mr. O'Brien's eaten this piece, and Mr. O'Brien's eaten this piece. Okay, so 1, 2 parts eaten. There's 1 left there. So Mr. O'Brien has eaten 2 out of the 3 pieces of cake. Okay, and that's how fractions work. You have your numerator, which tells you how many parts you've eaten, how many parts are shaded. Okay, and then you have your denominator, which tells you how many parts there were altogether. Okay, so you've had your cake here, you've split it into 3 parts. There's 3 parts altogether. Mr. O'Brien's eaten 2, so it's 2 out of 3. Okay, just like a spelling test. Now, it doesn't always have to be a cake shape or a cube. It's not really a cube, it's got curved edges, but it doesn't always have to be that shape. It could be a circle, it could be a triangle, okay? It could just be the number. It doesn't even have to be a shape, okay? It could be an irregular shape that's just random shapes everywhere, okay? It doesn't matter. The important part is how many parts are there all together and how many parts are shaded. So I'm going to shade the parts in now. So Mr. O'Brien, let's say this was a pizza. Mr. O'Brien has got his pizza from Domino's and it's been cut into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. Okay, so I've got 6 parts there. Okay, and Mr. O'Brien's eaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the pieces. 5 out of 6. Okay? So the numerator tells me I've eaten 5. The denominator tells me there was 6 altogether to start with. Okay? Now, just going to flick back. When we split it into 4s, that's quarters. So it's 1 quarter. Okay? If we split it into 8s, it's eighths. So that's 3/8. If we split it into thirds, into 3, it's thirds, so 2/3. If we split it into 6, it's sixths. It's 5/6. Okay? And Mr. O'Brien's got a slight lisp on his S's, so I find these words quite hard to say, but 5/6. Okay? Now, today we're looking at tenths. Okay? Now, if we split it into 5, it's fifths. If we split it into 6, it's sixths. If we split it into 7, it's sevenths. So if we're splitting it into 10, it's tenths. Okay, so today we're looking at tenths, which means we are dividing the whole number into 10 equal parts. Okay, so here's the whole. We've split it into 10 parts. Okay, so if I just shade that part there, that would be 1 out of 10, 1/10. Okay, and then if I shaded 2 parts, it would be 2 out of 10 shaded, so it's 2/10. Okay, this would be 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10. Okay, so that'd be 9/10. Hope you can see it past that. And then if we do our 10th one here, this would be 10/10. Now, if we have shaded the whole shape, we've got all 10 parts shaded out of 10, then that means we've got a whole number. Okay, so 10 out of 10 is a whole number, which means 10 out of 10 equals 1, because 1 is 1 whole cake, for example. So let's say this is a big rectangular cake. Mr. O'Brien's eaten 10 out of 10 pieces. Mr. O'Brien's eaten the whole cake. So I've eaten 1 whole cake. Okay, so if I have 3 out of 3, for example, that still equals 1, because if the cake was split into 3 equal parts and I've eaten all 3 pieces, I've eaten 1 whole cake. Okay, we're worried about tenths today. So 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, 10/10. And if it helps, you could say 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10. Okay, because it does mean the same thing. But if we get to 10 out of 10, we've eaten it all. Okay, then that's 1 whole cake. So you could put 10/10, or you could put a 1, which equals the same thing, means you've eaten the lot. Okay, so that's what we're looking at today. Okay, so we're in tenths again. Okay, I wonder if I'll give you 20 seconds. I wonder if you could tell your parent, or you could write it down on a piece of paper, what fraction is shaded there. Okay, so what fraction am I showing there? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10 parts. Okay, so my denominator, I've got 10 parts. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts shaded, 6/10, 6 out of 10. Okay, there was 10 spellings. You got the first 6 right, but the next 4 wrong. You got 6 out of 10. There was a cake. There was 10 parts. You've eaten 6, so you've eaten 6 out of 10, 6/10. Okay, and that's how fractions work. Now, sometimes you could have fractions on a number line, and it's exactly the same. Okay, so you start at the start, which we always start at 0. Whoa, that's a bit big. Okay, we always start at 0. Okay, the first part is 1/10. The next part would be 2/10. Okay, so you don't have to shade them in. It could go up on a number line. 3/10, and so forth. 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10. Okay, just for example. So this one would be, you can say it. I hope you said 9/10. I'll never know. Mystery of the universe. What did the children say? Okay, and then here it would be 10 tenths or 1, because it's the whole number then, isn't it? Okay, so that's what you're going to be looking at today. Now, as I said at the start, you're going to be doing this on purple mash now. You're not going to be printing the sheet off or writing it on the sheet or whatever. Okay, you can do it on purple mash, and you're going to be sent. You just need to save it and submit it on purple mash, like you do with your computing work, like you've been doing with the reading quizzes and some of the English work as well last week. Okay, so you will open up your purple mash. Yours obviously looks a bit different to me. You'll find to do Monday the 11th of January maths. You click open. You don't click preview. Okay, so you'll click open to do it. Okay, and it loads up and it looks like this. Okay, so it looks like the maths work that we do in our maths books. Okay, now over here you've got pens. Okay, and you can change the pen. If you click on this setting button here, you can change the pen. Okay, you can do straight lines or shapes. Okay, if you do this here, this makes the pen thick or thin. Okay, so you want it quite thin. You can do it in red. Okay, and you want to do it in pencil, and you can start the work. Okay, so first one here, what fraction of the following are shaded? Write the fractions in the boxes. Okay, well, I'm sure you can work it out. Okay, and then you'll just write, using your mouse, you can write the answer here. So it's something out of 10, out of 10. And don't worry about getting it in the box. You could even do it here. Okay, you could do it here if you want. Okay, something out of 10. Something out of 10, something out of 10. Okay, so many tenths, so many tenths, so many tenths. This one's on a number line, so a tenth, whatever that is. Okay, and then here it's just in order, and here, well, it's slightly different. Okay, it's not going up in 1/10, is it? But I'm sure you can figure it out. Okay, and then when you're done, you close it, save and exit, and then it's done. Okay, and I'll be able to mark it. Well done to all those that have already been doing lots of work. It's been really good to read it and mark it. Okay, keep it going, because this will really help you going forward. Okay, and I'll see you tomorrow for tomorrow's video. Okay, well done. See you tomorrow.